The major attributes of leadership. The following are important factors of leadership. One, plans. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon says the leader must plan his work and work his plan. A leader who moves by guesswork with practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. So sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. Welcome to another Rare Life Conversation with myself, Tony Jalen, and Daniil Jalen. If you've been joining us all month, we've been talking about how to be more productive and how to really go ahead and put yourself in a place to achieve your goals. Week one, we talked about goals, actually setting them. Man, novel idea. Then developing systems in place to help you stay consistent, and then understanding what habits that are going to help you achieve those goals. And we have a limited amount of time together each and every week. We go from 12:01 to 12:31 every Tuesday, and in this time, we give you everything we got. And I'm sure there's some topics that you guys want to dive in deeper and really have a deeper conversation with. I get that. We get that. We understand that. So stay tuned at the very end of our conversation today. We're going to be talking about a goal setting boot camp that you can be part of to really dive deeper into each of these topics. So this week, we're talking about planning. We probably heard it before that, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. In the book, The Art of War says the battle is won before it's fought. And I have a question for you guys. And Daniil, last week we talked about identifying your habits and rewards. Oh, before I forget, hi everyone in the live land and Facebook Live and YouTube Live and Twitter Live. Thank you for joining. Did you figure out some rewards for some of your habits that you said, this can help you get your goals?
Well, for one that I did is I ordered an actual calendar, like a hardcover calendar, so that I can do daily check marks off, because it's one thing to do it in the app and like where I'm logging my food and all that stuff. But it's another like physically write it out and check it off for myself.
Nice. Nice. I simply put more of the reminders in my reminders app on my phone because I like to push the little circle as a reward to do it. And also, I'm gonna go ahead and have a monthly reward. I want to be able to buy some more new clothes. I know your shoes. I want to do clothes. So today, you've all determined what you want, the systems that you will get you there, and the habits and rewards in each system. Now we got to go ahead and plan your day so that you can always know what you'll be doing and when you'll be doing it. And I'll be honest with you, I have my weekly planning session, which we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about planning your weeks and days, and then we're also going to talk about weekly reflection here today too. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit off, and I didn't feel it was as productive. Even though I got a lot of things done, I didn't actually feel productive on it. So last night I got the monkey off the back. I stayed up until midnight in the sauna and went through my weekly reflection and my planning. Um, Daniil, you're our CEO of our home, and by the way, for anyone who has a partner that stays home full time, make sure to give them a pat on the back. They do so much. I know with all the things you do, Daniil, regarding just to keep our house in order, to keep all of our schedules in order, that's a full-time job and a half. So I just want to say thank you for doing all that you do. It means the absolute world to me. I just couldn't imagine how I would be if I didn't have your support and assistance in taking care of all those things. So with you planning your days, um, what are some things that you do in terms of planning your days? I know some days you're completely on point, and I can tell because my text messages are blowing up.
Like when I'm ready to plan the next vacation, yes. Um, Things that for me, I guess for planning, like this is probably one of my downfalls in planning, is that I don't like to do it as much. And so this is actually like an intentional project that I have to do to plan out my days and making sure that there's things I know I have to get done, and then things that I can sprinkle in there as been like just little extras.
Yeah. For me, and I stumbled upon it by accident almost like 15 years ago, in terms of I have my categories in planning my days. I have my phone calls, I have my appointments, I have my to-dos and emails. And then I go ahead and put a block of time for each and every one in there. And for those of you guys who watch or read the thing Dilbert, Scott Adams, who wrote Dilbert, he was asked, "What would you be doing at 6:20 a.m. on Saturday, June 20th?" And he said, "Well, I'd be at my desk working on a Dilbert cartoon that he had started earlier in the week." So what he did, he strategically put his systems in specific time slots every day to ensure he's always moving forward on something. Why is that helpful?
It helps with your day in front of you, like you being proactive and tackling it versus being reactive come 5 o'clock at night and you're like, oh my gosh, like I still have this to do and that to do and this to do. This way, if you're giving yourself time frames to work on things, you can focus 100% of your attention during that time on that project, knowing that you're giving 100% to it. And then, when that time frame's up, you have the next thing that you can give 100% of your attention to.
Yeah, and I can say I've been guilty as well when I put together my bucket list in terms of like boxing the things I get in the categories. Sometimes you won't see it also scheduled in my calendar as an appointment. And I can so tell those days I become so much more reactive. And like you said, is if you have a specific time slot, it ensures that you're always moving forward on something, right?
Mhm.
So for me, I like if I have a certain time slot to do my reading, to do my lunch, to do my workouts, the likelihood I'm going to get it done is a lot better. So when you're planning your days, are you actually scheduling it? Is it put into your calendar? They say, I'll tell you what's important to you by you showing me your calendar. Ooh, think about that. I'll tell you what's important to you by you simply showing your calendar. So why else does this help out in terms of, once you got your plans for the day and the week, actually scheduling each day out and putting everything in the calendar? Like, what are some other reasons why this is a good practice in becoming more productive and achieving your goals?
Well, I think when you're making plans on the calendar, it's no different than you making an appointment for the doctor. You're not going to miss it. Like it starts to make an importance in your life, and to point those out, like you're making yourself important, and these things in your development are important to you. And so I think by doing that, it gives your mind a different view of the importance of these things happening in your day.
Yeah, you make a good point because by taking away the what and the when choices of your habit, you actually make it automatic. And I heard this too. It's like you said, it's like if you schedule an appointment with your doctor or your accountant, you're going to make that appointment. So what does it say about your own self-respect if you don't keep an appointment you set with yourself? I know that might be a hard pill to swallow because when I heard that, I'm like, ugh, there's some truth to that, right? And I think too is that if you got your goals, you got your systems and your habits, and now you're planning, you got to understand the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. 'Cause I don't think if you're just doing it to check off a box, I don't know about you, but I don't know how productive that is. Like, what's your thoughts on that? If you're just doing it just to check off a box.
Well, I think some days you're going to just do it to check off a box because not every single day is going to have the same feel to it. But if you're doing it, that's what's important. And I think that
Yeah.
some days you do just have to check off the box, like, and then that gives you the time, like when you do your reflection, like how intentional and what did I put into this? Yeah, I finished it, but it just gives you a little bit more that I can do this and sets that discipline up for you. But I think it's important to like try to do everything. And I shouldn't use the word try, but each thing that you schedule should be intentional with 100% of your effort. And unfortunately, some days just aren't that same.
Well, I think too, when you're scheduling it and you're planning out your week, you're usually in a better headspace. And there's some days that I know my mood is not in the right headspace. So I think it helps you do the things you know you got to do when you're not feeling it, right? Because feelings aren't facts. And those little things we do when we don't feel like it, I think is when we actually have a greater success rate, no matter what it might be in your health, your finances, your relationships, your work, your job. I think that's another reason why it's so important to write out your plan and actually schedule it. So for those of you guys who are watching, we're halfway through this call today. Like I said, we're going to jam as much as we can in here in this 30 minutes. Take out a paper. Actually, take out your calendar first. Now, take out the paper where you wrote down the habits for your systems, like the things that you know you got to do on a consistent basis to achieve your results. And some of you guys might go, I don't know what to do. I love you. I'm sorry. Liar, liar, pants on fire. You do know. You do know. Sometimes it's just the question whether or not you're going to commit to that or not, because it's uncomfortable. Because some days you're like, oh man, like I just busted chops all day at work, and now I need to go do this. Yeah, you do if you want that goal, because there's a price you got to pay for it. But take out the paper, write down your habits for your systems, and then literally just plug them into your days and your calendar. That's all you got to do. So, for example, what if you're going to call a friend every week? Well, guess what? Put it in the calendar. You're spending meditation before work. Put it in the calendar. You're going to do some gratitude. Put it in the calendar. What's one thing that you're now going to be scheduling or have now scheduled? It's in your calendar, Danielle, or you're about to put in your calendar. That's going to happen no matter what.
For me, my workouts or my walk done right away in the morning after both you and Ezekiel are off for the day.
Okay. So that's done. That's scheduled. It's going to be done. And the thing is, too, is like when you schedule those things and you get them in, I don't care how big or small it is, as long as you're doing them, there's something that does that for your own internal confidence, right? Going back to Think and Grow Rich, another major attribute of a leadership, it says definiteness of decision. The person who wavers in their decisions show that they're not sure of themselves and they cannot lead others successfully. When you say you're going to go do it and eventually it's going to be like, I'm honoring it. Like nothing's going to get me off this track unless there's an earthquake or, some natural disaster, someone dies or goes to jail. You're going to honor that time in your calendar. All right. Because you can actually focus on what really matters to you. Now, hopefully you guys are all doing this. You grabbed your calendar, you found that habit, you're putting in your calendar. If not, I'll let the guilty conscience go ahead and just weigh on you. Don't wait. Just do it. Just do it. Put pause on this and start back up after you're done. Because now we're going into the second part of this month's program. And that is the weekly review. When it comes to building habits, systems, and goals, agree, Danielle? Disagree? You're going to have some wins, you're going to have some losses, right?
Yep. Agreed.
It is what you're is. You're not perfect. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, like everyone else, even I do. I know, you guys might be just surprised with that. Just kidding. But at the end of every week, so again, I literally just had a call with someone here earlier this morning. And they said, Tony, I have a weekly review in my calendar, but I don't really do it. So the first question was, well, what are your goals? What systems do you have in place? What habits are you going to do? What are the reasons why that's all so important? And then you do the weekly review. My weekly review is in this binder I got right here. I even did a better job of it. I went through it again last night. And here are the questions you ask. Again, this is all a cycle, right? And I encourage you to do a review at the end of every day. Ask yourself, what went well, what didn't go so well, what are you grateful for, what did you learn, and what's your outcome for the next day? Those 5 power questions. It takes 5-10 minutes to do it because awareness leads to growth. And then find a time each week to do a weekly review. You can go out to like a coffee shop, like set up an environment that's actually conducive that makes you feel like, all right, I'm getting an escape. Now, I remember we introduced this as a family. It was a couple years ago we did it.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, some people go, well, you do what you do for work and business at home. Yes, we do. Because running a household is like running a business. Like you're going to look at certain things, right? If you want to be successful, you should have a vision for your family, where you want to go, and all that kind of stuff. Um, when we introduced the weekly review to the family, how do you feel that helped out from just a family perspective, and you and personal perspective, Danielle?
I think it helps in sharing like each other's goals and serving as a way for us to grow closer as a family instead of just running off in separate directions every day. Helping bring that family back into circle and being able to bond with one another and celebrate each other's wins, because a lot of times like I wouldn't know some of the stuff that's going on for you at work or Ezekiel at school if we're not making the intentional time to like have a conversation about it. And yeah, like there's passing here and there, like things that we find out, but this allows us the opportunity to like celebrate each other during the week, like throughout the week, like on one day, and just like having that hour to hour and a half where we just sit down and we're shut off from everything else and just being able to share with one another what's all going on.
Now, mind you, everyone that's watching, we did this with our son, who at the time was 13 years old as well, and he did the sheet as well. But I think you're right, though. Like next month, we're going to be talking about, you know, appreciation and building stronger relationships because it's a month of love in February. Um, you're right because there was things that you would share or Ezekiel would share that I had zero idea on. And even though I work on being intentional, trying to learn things each day, I'm like, I had no clue. But also, I think if you run a business, you run, and you're in a job, one of the reasons why there's frustrations is because of a lack of communication. So the encouragement here is to do it with someone else. It could be your family, it could be your coworkers, it could be your employees. It helps. So here are the questions to ask. So again, you got your goals first, you got your systems, you got your habits, and now you do the planning and reflection. What worked? What didn't? Like what really like energized you? What lessons did you learn? Questions I have here in our sheet is what am I proud of this week? What am I grateful for this week? Um, what's the one thing I can do differently the next week? I'm actually looking at ours right now. Okay. So I would also encourage in terms of open up your email, clean out your emails first. I would also encourage you to do a brain dump, like of all, before you even ask the questions, just think about all the things that are in your mind and get them all your mind to paper. What other suggestions would you say, Danielle, in terms of when you're just doing the weekly review before you're doing the planning?
I think your weekly review has to go based on your week. So if you use your week Sunday to Saturday, like Saturday may be your day that you do your reflection. It doesn't have to necessarily be like Sundays at a certain time. Like do it Saturday in the evening or early in the morning, before you start doing all your family stuff. Just pick a day. Like it depends on what your week looks like. And for me, like I like to Saturdays just kind of like reflect over what happened because I know Sunday I'm starting grocery shopping for the week. So it's like I need that plan for the week ahead Sunday so I know what's going on versus waiting until Sunday to do it. And then I feel like everything's all scrambled on top of each other and I don't have time to do the stuff properly. So I think figuring out what day you're going to do your reflection on and what you consider your week.
That's a good point. Like, what do you consider as your week? And it's gonna be different for everybody. I mean, it's like everyone wants to start everything brand new January 1st, but that's not everyone's like first of the year thing. Um, what's your thoughts about like having one place to keep everything?
As far as like a journal or
A journal, yeah, or a binders, anything like that.
I think the more you can keep it organized, the less you're scrambling to find where you put this or where you put that.
Yeah, I like it because what it does, it helps me to have something to reflect back on. You know, like for you guys who do this, who are watching live or watching this later, but if we put in the comments, you know, how do you go about your weekly review? If you do it, maybe you don't do it. You know, um, I just feel that it this is a game changer. I think it's an absolute game changer in achieving your goals and being more on point with things. Um,
Well, I think too, if you're doing like a reflection daily, like, and it's all in one place where you do your weekly review, it's easy to look back like over the days instead of having to just do a mind dump and think about everything that happened. Like if you're doing it daily, you can see like what things happened and where you can change those and look at it like once a week, but like daily know what was all going on.
yeah. And that's sort of cool to look back at too. Like, oh yeah, you get that little trigger memory because, I mean, for goodness sakes, don't ask me what I had for breakfast on Sunday.
I know, honeyberry.
Oh, that's right. But see, yeah, Honeyberry is a restaurant in Brookfield, Wisconsin. They have really good stuff. And I did not remember that until Danielle said it. But guess what? She put it in the calendar. That's probably why. Um, the key is to do this every single week. And then I think also too is look at the things you didn't achieve, but also make sure you celebrate yourself. Because, you know, I shared the story. I don't know if it was last week I shared the story or where I shared the story. See, I don't remember this. Isn't this something else, Danielle, that we can always remember the great stories that have happened in our life, but don't always remember who we told them to? Um, we had a volleyball tournament, got third place, exceeded all expectations. And there was a moment because we made it to semifinals, and we lost in the semifinals in the tiebreaker. And I let the loss in the semifinals um, be bigger than the achievements of the progress our team had made. And if it wasn't for a couple players saying, you know what, hey, we did really good because we wanted to come here with a 500 win record and we won six and only lost one.
Mhm.
And we did this and we did this. That's why it's important to write down goals because now you have something to measure against and have systems to track it. We track it with stats and stuff like that and video work. Um, but it's just so important to remember that. There's a lot of things in our lives that we have cause for celebration on it. And I think sometimes it's so easy to focus on what we don't have versus realizing all the things that we do have, that we have an opportunity to be grateful for. And that's something we'll talk about more about in next month in terms of building better relationships, which also relates to better leadership, which relates to better results. So as we close up here, we're going to talk about the goal setting boot camp we're going to have. And I just want to say first, a big thank you for Danielle for showing up each and every week for these calls. I greatly appreciate you also going into the lab with me. to help and giving different perspectives on it. And thank you all for who's been attending and watching and commenting and sending us messages. Our joy is seeing other people win. That's part of rare leaders. A rare leader is someone who's resourceful, adaptable, resilient, and willing to engage with other leaders. And these are gifts we all got to share. So, Danielle, as we finish up here before we go into this goal setting boot camp, final thoughts when it comes down to setting goals, systems, habits, weekly planning your days, and then weekly review and reflection.
I think just kind of reflecting back, like over the 4 weeks here, you had sent me a podcast to listen to, and I was listening to it on Sunday while I was at the gym, walking on the stair stepper, waiting for Ezekiel to get done. And it talked about it in there about goals. And we had talked early about the cost of goals, like what is it going to cost you? And there was one part in there that talked about who cares about the cost? Just go all in and celebrate the victory at the end. Like, see how far you can actually get. Don't worry about what the cost was. Just go for it. And I think that's with all these is like, just go for your goals. Like, write them down, do whatever you can, like, figure out a way that's going to work for you to get it done. Find your habits, find your systems, and plan it. Like, just go for it. Like, have you ever 100% just given yourself to hitting a goal, setting a time, not necessarily a time frame, but just going for it until you hit it, and following the systems, the plans, and the habits, and reflecting what's working, what's not working, and just go for it and not worry about the time that it's going to take you to hit it.
Yeah, because everyone's story is different. Our timeline is not always the universe's timeline. And it's not always about just achieving the goals, who you become in the process of going after it and realizing, hey, you're a badass. You can get it done. And if those of you guys who are watching here, if you're really craving a big change, like in your business or your life, we're going to do a deep dive on how to set goals like a freaking pro. So you can get your dreams out of your head and into your daily life. Because I think we all have a lot of goals and dreams that we want to achieve. Sometimes we need a team to hold us accountable to it. Sometimes we just need to talk it out loud to get clarity around it. Well, in this boot camp we're going to do, we're going to dive through this in 4 different sessions. Watch by end this week. We're going to have a page to register for it. It's going to be a live Zoom video call. We're going to dive in, and we're going to go ahead and share ideas, share concepts that will really help you make kick butt goals, yet also give you the confidence and the belief that you can do it. Let's just do this journey together. 2022, let's make it happen, right? So thank you again for investing your time. Feel free to share this with other people. We're on YouTube, also on Twitter, and also on the Facebook page. Feel free to invite them in to the group. Other than that, until next week, Relationship and Appreciation Month. I'm Tony Jalen, joined by the wonderful Danielle Jalen. Onward and upwards. Talk to you all soon.